dropped by how many percent? It dropped by 25%. So that volatility in the market, it's one of the risk factors. If you are not a good and patient investor, you can, for instance, buy here, then you see a 20% loss. You start to panic. When you see a 20% decrease in value, you start to panic. So you sell at this point. What do? You are making a loss. But an intelligent investor, if you are even buy right now at this point, but it drops another maybe 50%, will you be able to accommodate that impact in your psychology? And that's the thing about volatility. If you are not ready, if you cannot hold your maybe your investment bladder, you may sell your Bitcoin at a loss. You may sell your Bitcoin at a very low price, and yet you can find that the market may move downwards, pull back, a small pullback, then comes and then forms a big pullback. Like in this region, I remember telling my friend this region when there was a big pullback. Technically, this was a trend line, and once it broke, I told the person that it would go up, then down, then it would go up. So you don't have to panic. You just buy at this region, and then it will spike up. But another person who may view it as a further drop. So a person who is not patient can sell due to the volatility. But if you look at the monthly chart, you can see overall it's going on an upward trend, and this is the region where I bought my Bitcoin, this region, and you can see on the monthly chart overall it's an uptrend without any pullback on the monthly chart. It's like what I did, I invested my money and just forget about it. It's about long-term goals, and if you look at it that way, you will see in 4 years, in 2 years, or even 10 years, you will ignore the volatility, but still the volatility can be a very huge risk. Imagine that at this point, if it drops by around even 50%. Last time, like 4 months ago, the price of Bitcoin was around this region, 50 something here, the 57 region, and I projected that I could smell a pullback up to this region, and that was actually what happened. There was a decrease in around 50%, exactly as I had predicted at that time. But I told you that you don't have to panic if you have your current position, even if you bought this region, because the market could drop, possibly to pick liquidity. As you can see, those intelligent Wall Street traders and those big people who are willing to invest in Bitcoin, they can't buy at this price. It's overheated. So they just wait the market to go down, and that's the work of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They cause news to make the retail traders to become fearful. So they can say, oh, Bitcoin doesn't have a good concern on environment, so we shouldn't accept it. Or at Bitcoin, it causes fraudulent activities and money laundering. In fact, the fiat currency, the physical money, is the one which carries the most money laundering. Bitcoin has blockchain, a public blockchain, where one even can trace all the transactions, only that you cannot know who performed from A to B. You can't trace, but at least you can trace the flow of cash because it's transparent. So they just make people panic and sell their Bitcoin, and that's what caused this downward movement. So they were targeting buying at this region, and this is the pre-Elon Musk buy, and they wanted to buy at a premium price. They wanted to buy, if you can draw a Fibonacci series from 0 to the current value here up, they were targeting at fair value, and that the fair value is at equilibrium, and this equilibrium was fair value. So that's why the market was moving here down, and it has been accumulating at these lower regions. But now, drawing that trend line, this is the same date that I bought last year, 21st. I bought at which region? At this region. You can see 21st, and it is showing the same pattern. This is a trend line. After breaking this trend line, it wouldn't stop. This was at $94.13, so it didn't stop. So I was timing the same moment to see how the market will behave, and this is actually exact date 21st. It's breaking another trend line. This is a trend line, and this is another trend line. So market was failed to go down, and this is a form of how the institutional traders look at the market. So once it broke at this region, it was a good opportunity to buy, and it's apparent that the market now is going up. Last time I had shown you how the market could move in the long run. It was a possible path to follow. As I had told you, it will go down like there's a possibility that it could go down like 50%, and that's what happened. It went down 50%, and now it's going up. So we may anticipate the market to go up and reach the all-time high. So looking at this trajectory, after dropping 50%, I had indicated that it could go up like this, then like this, and then go. So we are expecting the market to reach $90,000 by the end of December. That's my prediction. So if you haven't bought at this lower region, you can wait for a small pullback before going continuing the trend. So the market can move like this, then project upwards. So anyway, I'm expecting that by the end of the year it will reach $90,000, and by March next year it will have reached $220,000 per Bitcoin. $220,000 per Bitcoin. Imagine, it can go up to there before we could see the end of this cycle. So this is a good point to buy if you haven't bought any Bitcoin. Looking at the stock to flow model, we are currently at this region, and looking at this graph, you can see that this model has been accurate, and the last time we were at this orange region, like here, the market went upward. So we are expecting the market to reach around $220,000 per Bitcoin within this cycle. So we are half in this cycle, and that can happen by next year on February or March. But in the end of the year, it will possibly go to $140,000 per Bitcoin. So that's around 3 times this current region. So if someone invests around 1 million, we will get 3 million by the end of December. This is the second episode, 4 months later after I've done the first presentation. And one of the things I projected was the effect of volatility and regulations, and those were the few risks that I presented concerning Bitcoin. And actually, those risks have shown out through the 4 months period, which caused some spikes in the market. So one of the happenings was the FUD, the green energy concerns on Bitcoin mining. FUD means fear and doubt and uncertainty. Fear, uncertainty and doubt. The influence of the news, the media, and those big participants are the ones concerned about making this news. The other thing was China had banned Bitcoin and mining. Institution adoption. We have seen the incoming prospects of big institutions like Amazon, Apple, and Facebook. And also, Bitcoin has become a legal tender in El Salvador. So, in June 2021, El Salvador became the world's first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender, enacting legislation that takes effect in September. This means that Bitcoin can be used to pay for goods and services throughout the country, and recipients are legally obliged to accept it. So this was a very great news. Maybe I was anticipating that Bitcoin may be incorporated as a legal tender, maybe in like 10 years to come, and this is too early. This country is very small and has been depending on the dollar as its legal tender, but they have seen the opportunity of accepting now Bitcoin as the legal tender, the way we use Kenya shillings in Kenya as the legal tender. So this country called El Salvador incorporated Bitcoin as its legal tender. So its citizen can transact with Bitcoin, and it is one of the legal tender used for like fiat currency, but alongside the dollar. And this is a very good fundamental news. Other countries like Mexico and those South American countries, the southern part of North American continent, they are trying to look for ways they can do this, like they follow up the El Salvador declaration. So in future, we are going to see that many countries will accept Bitcoin as a legal tender to be used the same way the currency is being used. Another big news, China bans Bitcoin. And in June 21, some months back, China banned the mining of Bitcoin, and most of the miners came out of China. A larger percentage of miners are located in China. Since Bitcoin should be decentralized, in fact, that is good news. If they move out of China, they will spread out throughout the world. And like in US, there are in Texas, there are several miners, and banning Bitcoin in China may be a negative news in the short term, because the miners could not mine Bitcoin, so that reduced the hash rate of processing transactions for Bitcoin. So that's one of the big thing that caused Bitcoin to drop than expected. But still, this is a good news because now there is no one country that can control Bitcoin if it ever happens to be like that. So it's now decentralized as miners are shifting their infrastructure to other countries. There has been the green energy fund. News has been spreading about the concerns of Bitcoin. They say that it's negative to the environment. This I consider this a fad. It's a news that is intended to just cause negative perception on retail traders and those who are willing to invest in bitcoins and blockchain assets. But if you can look at this chart, we have the Bitcoin mining, we have gold mining, and banking system. All these three are almost related in terms of they are all financial assets. They are all involved in financial transactions. If you compare the energy consumption of a banking system and gold mining and Bitcoin mining, even though Bitcoin uses electricity, but most of its electricity comes from hydroelectricity, and there is less of the carbon emission from those computers that mine Bitcoin, even though there's some small energy consumption. But if you compare how gold is mined, it's mined physically under the ground, and you can count how much energy is being used to mine gold and how much damage, physical damage to the environment. The banking system, how they use electricity, how they use those computers and other systems running, and how they overall use energy. So in comparing those three, it's apparent that the energy consumed for Bitcoin mining is very low as compared to the three categories. So the green energy fund it's one of the things that caused Bitcoin to fail adoption, and it caused market to drop. But it's indeed not an accurate perception. In fact, they are trying to do this to make those small investors to sell their Bitcoin. They want the price to drop so that they can buy at a cheaper price, and that's one of the goals of institutional traders. So those who have paper hands, they don't they don't hold Bitcoin for a longer time, and they end up selling to these few huge investors or the whales. If you compare the adoption rates of cryptocurrency with the internet, it's apparent that it's following the trajectory that the internet has been following since the 1990s. The same trend is being followed. The graph is growing exponentially, and it's projected that at this current time in 2020, last year, I mean, it was evident that it was matching the internet adoption in 1990s and 1999 there. So at that point, people are saying that the internet was not a good idea, that it could create a lot of negative things, and they say that the e-commerce and electronic form of trading wouldn't make really good sense. So some of them rejected the idea, and even in the adoption of electricity in early years in history, people were negative against electricity. They saw it as a dangerous thing, but continually as time progressed, it was apparent that people started to find the internet very resourceful, and it's evident that in some years to come, we'll find that many people will get to know about cryptocurrencies, especially in 2030s, where it will match the current internet adoption. There are other companies that are adopting Bitcoin. Last time I talked about some companies like Tesla, and I said about the institutional adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and it is evident that more and more companies are coming up, like Amazon. Just some few days back, they posted a job requesting for applicants who are very competent and in such areas to apply for those jobs related to creating a systems with cryptocurrency support. So Amazon may allow users to pay in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin soon as the e-commerce giant is hiring a digital currency and blockchain product lead for its payment team. According to our latest job listing, Amazon's payments acceptance and experience team is seeking an experienced product leader to develop Amazon digital currency and blockchain strategy and product roadmap. So as we go on, we find more companies adopting Bitcoin. Last month, Apple company also posted a job requesting for those who are experienced in blockchain. So you'll find that in the next 5 years, more and more companies will incorporate Bitcoin in their systems. So there is also the fact of inflation. In the last video 4 months ago, I had showed you information about how the US government was targeting a 2% inflation and not more than that. And I explained that in terms of economy, but it is unfortunate that this 2% inflation rate has been exceeded to around 5%. Imagine. So consumer prices increased 5.4% in June from a year earlier, the biggest monthly gain since August 2008. Imagine this is the biggest inflation increase within a small period of time since the last financial recession in 2008. And in fact, this crisis seems to be cooking, and in the next few years, maybe we'll find that the world economy will turn into a recession, and due to this pandemic of corona anyway, and the cycle can repeat itself. And if it repeats itself, then there must be something that may evolve into a new aspect or preservation of monetary energy, and Bitcoin comes to solve that problem. Anyways, excluding food and energy, inflation increased 4.5%, the largest move since September 1991. Imagine. In fact, inflation will increase, and there will be a situation of hyperinflation if the situation will become unchecked. So, Bitcoin is a safe haven to counter such a inflation coming out of control. If you can look at the money printing policies of the federal government in US, it is evident that 2020 was experiencing the largest. It was an awkward graph. This is an awkward graph from 1980. This has been a small percentage increase in monetary supply. That means they just print a small amount of money, and this trend has been increasing. And in 2020, it exploded. They printed much huge amount of money within a short time. And this graph is continuing even in this year. So this abnormal printing of money at this region since 2020, and now it's more than this point, it has grown, shows that we are entering a situation of hyperinflation, and the purchasing power of money will become less and less. And this is a probing factor that can cause Bitcoin to increase in value. Now, this is my prediction. I'm not accurate and I don't have to be accurate, but I think the price of Bitcoin will be around 90,000 by December 2021, and the next price will be $140,000 by March 2022, and by October 2022 the price of Bitcoin may be 220,000 and 500,000 by 2025. Those are just analysis of my models and my technical analysis of how the Bitcoin price may be faring with the time, and I don't have to be accurate, but I think these levels must be broken by this particular time, and sometimes you may find that by December it can also reach 220,000 instead of 2022, and if it doesn't reach at that point, then I'll be waiting for 2025 when the next halving will occur. So after this presentation, I wouldn't give any other presentation until December 30th, 2021, and also I'm not going to look at the chart, because one of the things some people do is that once they invest in Bitcoin, they just keep on checking on the chart. You don't have to check every time and see how the price has moved. It will affect you psychologically, and you wouldn't be concentrating on other things. But instead, if you can scale small profits with time, after you reach your targets, then it's okay. But it's good just to leave the market alone. Just wait for the market do its heavy lifting, and you don't have to act too much on looking at the chart. So the other thing I will do is avoiding FUD, fear, uncertainties, and doubt. These are the news that are being released globally against Bitcoin, the green energy FUD, the China banning of mining and Bitcoin, and I may project that in the coming months or days, you see China completely banning cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And you know this regime of China is censoring everything. They just want to control the whole world. So these assets are being threatening their policies and philosophy, and so they wouldn't like to have it running in their country, so they will ban it, and they will also regulate it. Other countries will come and regulate Bitcoin, and it may become difficult and more difficult to accommodate those regulations into the Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And also, those are the news which I'm trying to avoid, and I shouldn't take concern about them. The other thing is about I will also scale my profits. So part of my profits I will scale when it reaches 220,000 Bitcoin, and it can also reach 500,000 dollars per Bitcoin by around 2025. So I don't have to rush. I don't have to withdraw my money. Just wait for it to grow. Even if it goes to zero, you still have its value, because once it increases, you haven't lost that value unless you use leverage. Leverage, it's what some people use. They just use margin and leverage, and that's why they are washed out of this. But if you buy and hold, buy the exact Bitcoins instead of leveraging, and you just buy the actual value of Bitcoin, so you won't lose your Bitcoin even if it drops a bit. But I think this past low was the lowest of this cycle, and I think the coming months we can see August reaching $60,000, August to September. Then by December we have $90,000. So we won't reach those low levels of $30,000, and I think we are going to see a future growth of Bitcoin. This is for the long term, and I'm intending to trade to hold for a long term. It's just a retirement plan maybe for some people, but I think Bitcoin is here to stay, and it's an evolving technology that will come to be actualized in and become seamless in the existing financial infrastructure. Anyways, I'm not an investor. Sorry, I'm not a professional financial expert, and I'm not liable to any misinformation to the audience. Trade wisely, take your own thoughts, and make rational decision. Do not just trade because I say that the market will go up. I don't know about the future. So trade what you are really willing to lose, and this is just for entertainment, and it's not a financial advice. Thank you.